Thank you very much, Jen. It's my pleasure to be here at QHack this year. So yeah, as Jen mentioned, I'm with IBM Quantum, where I'm a quantum technical ambassador. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about quantum chemistry and what we have in terms of Qiskit functionality to address chemistry problems. So I'll just note that this is a bit in good context because IBM Quantum and our partners at Pink 2 are currently running a coding challenge here at QHack that focuses on quantum chemistry. So we'll hope you'll engage with that. There's a really great prize for the winner of that contest. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this presentation and your time here at the hackathon. So quantum chemistry is certainly one of the uh, thrust behind a lot of work that's been done in quantum computing in terms of applications. So it was identified early as one of the things that we could potentially do with a quantum computer that we couldn't otherwise do with a classical computer at a certain scale. And so the Qiskit community has done a really great effort to integrate a lot of high-level functionality that's really addressed towards people who want to solve quantum chemistry problems on a quantum computer. So there are a variety of different problems that we could potentially attack with a quantum computer. But in general, with a quantum computer, what I'm showing on the slide here is that there are three main areas in which quantum computing could potentially have some kind of advantage here. So simulating quantum systems, which I've already talked about, so chemistry problems, physics problems, that sort of thing, artificial intelligence, and also optimization type problems. Now, what I've highlighted on this slide here, I've shown kind of a whole lot of different kinds of use cases. These are use cases that we here at IBM have been seeing just generally in the industry, but also with the clients that we've been dealing with. But highlighted on this slide here in blue are chemistry type problems. Things like finding new improved battery technology, semiconductor materials for building next generation electronics, looking at building catalyst structures for doing things like carbon capture or optimizing certain chemical processes. So there's probably a lot more than what I have on this list here, but you can see that there are lots of potential use cases for using a quantum computer for quantum chemistry. And I will say it's not just simply limited to using, say, a quantum computer to do, say, simulations of chemical Hamiltonians or anything like that. We're also finding ways to use artificial intelligence on quantum computers to address chemistry problems, but also optimization problems or optimization approaches as well. So really, chemistry kind of fits the whole gamut of the different kinds of general methodology that we can apply in a quantum computer. So here's an example of something that IBM did a number of years ago. It was one of our first early demonstrations of quantum chemistry on one of our quantum computers. So there was two published papers in Nature. The first one, which is the yellow cover that you see here, our scientists were able to simulate the lithium hydride chemistry on a quantum computer, and showing that it can be done, and showing that the general methodology that we're using, which was at that time and still continues to be the variational quantum eigensolver, they're able to show, yes, they were able to get results with reasonably good accuracy, approaching that what we can do with a classical computer. Now, of course, this is a small system, and so it's not an intractable problem for a classical computer. So we are able to compute exactly the energies of, say, lithium hydride using a classical computer. But at least it was showing that we're kind of in the right direction with quantum. But they knew that they can improve on these results here. And one of the key issues that we have, especially with near-term quantum computers, is the noise inside the system and gate errors and things of that nature. And so in the follow-up publication, they're able to implement various error mitigation and suppression protocols to be able to improve the quality of the result. And that's what you're seeing on the right figure there, where you can see the mitigated results are the green dots there, and they lie pretty much on the full exact curve that we expect for lithium hydride in terms of the ground state energy. So we made some really great progress on here to show that it's really possible. So a lot of the work has continued as we look at ways of scaling up beyond simple systems like lithium hydride, as we look to larger chemical systems that may be applicable for advanced materials or for drug discovery, things of that nature. And so, the research has progressed to the point where we're saying, okay, can we take these larger systems but still run them on quantum hardware that we have available to us and for the next little while? And so teams at IBM Research have been working on ways of breaking up circuits into smaller parts and then executing those individually on, say, a single QPU, or it could be a set of parallel QPUs running at the same time, and then combining the results from each one of those circuit executions into the final answer. So could be that you're simulating the water molecule. That's the example you're seeing here, and it's broken up into several circuits. And then classically, we recombine the results to get an accurate and high fidelity um, answer to say like what the ground state energy of this molecule is. So this has actually progressed a lot. This kind of methodology. This is a paper that was published by IBM Research just last year, in which they talked about this technique called entanglement forging. And so entanglement forging is part of a whole set of techniques that we really call circuit knitting. And circuit knitting is all about, again, decomposing the circuit and then executing them individually on the quantum computer and then recombining the results later on. So in this case, they're looking at entanglement forging to break down the circuit. They were able to show that they can actually get away with with half the number of qubits in order to simulate the same molecule at the same level of fidelity in the, say in this case, they're calculating again ground state energy. The other thing they were able to show with this paper is that if you do have a larger quantum processor with more qubits, like if you had like they simulated this on a 27 qubit system, but they only required 5 qubits for each one of the circuits that they're executing. Well, that provides the opportunity to then start executing multiple circuits on the same QPU at the same time. And thus you save some execution time, you get results faster. And a lot of this is building up to the point where we may have, say, multiple um, quantum processors in parallel in a single system that you can all send circuits to from a decomposed, say, larger circuit, and then recombine the results later on. So I'm going to show you a little bit later on that we've actually published code for these circuit knitting techniques that you can leverage now and start working with on, say, chemistry problems. So yeah, here's some results from that study, that same paper there. So again, here they're looking at the water molecule as just a simple example. Again, it's a molecular system that can be solved completely classically. It's not at the kind of like scalar and tractability level yet. But again, we're demonstrating that the techniques work, that they are scalable, and that we can get close to the actual energies of these systems here. Just some other studies that have been done, and these are not necessarily just an IBM thing, but we're working with lots of partners on various chemistry type problems. This one in particular from our partner Boeing, and they're looking at surface chemistries, right, and various materials. So they want to Boeing's interested in making sure that the various materials that they use in their aircraft don't undergo corrosion, or at least they want to figure out what the corrosion mechanisms are. And so in this case, they're interested in, okay, what happens when water interacts with, say, certain magnesium-based compounds that they use. So again, using the quantum computer, they're able to compute the energies of the magnesium at the surface, and they're able to calculate the energies of the water molecules that are interacting with that surface. And based on this information, they can better understand these mechanisms and potentially find ways to mitigate them as they develop, say, newer, more advanced materials. So you'll see a lot of work that's being done out there on problems regarding, say, the electronic structure of a molecule. Say, solving ground state energies, or even studying, solving for excited state energies on a molecule, which are very important and can help us understand a lot of chemical processes. But there are also problems in, say, vibrational spectroscopy and vibrational structure calculations, where a quantum computer can also benefit, chemistry researchers on doing those sorts of calculations. So This is a paper, again, that was published a few years ago from IBM, in which we showed some methodology on how to simulate vibrational modes and the energies associated with those vibrational modes in simple molecules. And so the good news about this is that, again, we have published code in this, and this is part of the Qiskit ecosystem that I'm going to speak about next, that we've made available to you. And so there's some nice tutorials on how to actually execute these circuits and find things like vibrational energies. But again, it's not also just about looking at, say, the quantum chemistry or the energy spectrum or energy values for that's associated with these molecules. We may want to do other things in chemistry that aren't that kind of quantum chemistry level. And so this is a paper that was published by IBM just last year, in which they were looking towards using a quantum computer with quantum machine learning methods to be able to analyze, sets of data on chemical systems. So, in this particular case, they were interested in drug discovery. Can they use a machine learning model running on a quantum computer to improve our ability to identify potential drug candidates for certain kinds of diseases? So the way that it worked is essentially they had some data sets about various drug or drug-like compounds. From this, they were able to build up a classical processing pipeline to be able to do things like feature extraction based on the molecular structures that they were inputting in from the data set. They do dimensionality reduction. Again, this is still classical at this point. But once they were able to get to that point in the pipeline, well, then they could throw this to a machine learning method to then say things like, well, is this molecule active or inactive against some type of biological target? So it could be, something within, our own tissues. It could be a virus. So one of the things they looked at was a database of molecules that were known to be either active or inactive against COVID-19. So using the quantum method, what they're able to show, and I'll zoom in a little bit here on this figure here. If you look at the red bars here, so this is about an evaluation of the performance of the models. So the higher the bars here, the better the model is. And you can see that the red curves here, or the red bars here, are for the quantum-based model. But they also looked at some classical-based machine learning models here. And in every case, the quantum models are outperforming the classical models that are equivalent. So again, here, there's a potential here for quantum computing to have this advantage, not just for quantum machine learning, but also to apply quantum machine learning to chemistry problems. Another thing that's been explored with this, and it's an ongoing and hard problem in classical computation, is to do protein folding. Protein folding, is very important for understanding the mechanisms by which certain biological mechanisms actually work, but also to help our understanding of, say, certain diseases, and also how, say, certain drugs might interact with these various proteins that are involved in those diseases. And so there was work that was done to look at simple. At this point, we're looking at simple peptides, so simple strings of, say, amino acids in a protein, and looking at how the structure of these simple peptides turn out. And it turns out it's really just an optimization problem. You may have like certain parts or amino acids that are at certain orientations or certain rotations relative to others. And so what they were able to do with quantum computer is to run an optimization algorithm to then see, okay, which one of these is like the optimal, or which set of rotations on this peptide sequence here is optimal in some way. And so that's work that you can see. There's a paper published about this. There's also a demo, and I can post a link in the Discord to that demo if you want to check it out. Okay, so one of the workhorses right now in quantum chemistry is the variational quantum eigensolver. So it's an iterative quantum classical hybrid method, as you see here, with the classical optimizer running in a set of circuits running on the quantum computer. And so we have an implementation of this within Qiskit that's ready to use for these various chemistry problems. So this is what Qiskit looks like. So Qiskit is a multifaceted open source project. There's a core layer of capability for building circuits and interacting with real machines and simulators. We call that Qiskit Terra. But on top of this, we've also built application modules. And so the key one you're going to find is called, that's related to this talk here, is called Qiskit Nature. And Qiskit Nature embodies all of the quantum chemistry routines that we've built in. So this is a closer look at what it looks like. So you'll find that we've built in these interfaces to classical chemistry codes there. So PySCF is one of them, Psi4, Gaussian. So if you're in chemistry and you've used these packages here, we integrate with those packages. And then below that, there's a set of classes and APIs for defining various types of problems, whether they're electronic structure problems or lattice structure problems, and then a set of solvers underneath that for, say, solving the ground state or excited energy states in our molecules. Very soon, we will have also some capability to do Hamiltonian simulation as part of Qiskit Nature. So yeah, that's Qiskit. That's what I wanted to show you in terms of some slideshare here. But just to quickly show you, what we can do in the code. And so here I am in the IBM Quantum platform. So this is an open platform. Anybody can sign up for a free account. You can start programming in Qiskit. And in this case here, I'm showing some code here on actually how to solve for the ground state energy of, say, in this case, I believe I solved for the hydrogen molecule. And so we go through there's a simple set of steps here where you go from defining the molecule, which I show up here, to doing the second quantization steps in order to get the Hamiltonian forms. There are converters to convert this from a fermionic Hamiltonian into a spin Hamiltonian. And then eventually you get to the point where you can implement the variational quantum eigensolver with various on-sot circuits that we've pre-built for you into Qiskit Nature. And then you just simply throw these circuits to the algorithm and the solver. And eventually what you get out is a readout of the computed energy, which is over here. So it's a very simple set of steps. We have tutorials on how to get this all working. I'll post links directly to those after today's session. So I think I'll stop right there, and we can take some questions.
All right. Thank you, Sean. It's really interesting to hear about all these different things that people could do. I'm just amazed by the breadth and depth of what's available now. It's fantastic. Before we get to some specific questions about what you were talking about, I just want to ask about this thing I can see like peeking around behind you in your video there. Is that a really large looking telescope?
It is a moderately sized telescope, at least one that can fit my office without being too much of an obstruction. Yeah, I'm a bit of a astronomy buff, amateur astronomer, you could say. It's kind of something that I always wanted to get, but then the pandemic hit, and I thought, okay, this could be my pandemic hobby to start a little backyard astronomy operation here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Folks in the chat, stay active if you want to be up for this giveaway in a few minutes. But I have a question right now from Annie Can Q. Hi, Sean. I'd love to know more about how the QVE works and what it can be used for.
I'm sorry, so what was that again? The QVE what?
About how the QVE works and what it can be used for.
QVE, or do you mean VQE?
Possibly, yeah, it could be probably that. Yeah, it's easy to make a typo like that. Yeah.
Okay, so variational quantum eigensolver is what that stands for. It's one of the well-used algorithms right now in near-term quantum computers. Reason being that it allows us to leverage the capabilities of quantum computers in the current state that they're in right now, which are small in size. They have noise, going on inside the systems, and it allows us to really, execute things like short depth circuits with a few qubits, and still get reasonably high fidelity results on various problems, such as quantum chemistry problems like solving for ground state energies or even excited state energies. Vibrational spectroscopy type energies too, as well, can be solved using this method. But VQE is actually much more general than just quantum chemistry, even though VQE was first used for chemistry problems. So we go back, I think it's about 10 years or so. This was done by folks out of I think it was Alan Gusik's group who demonstrated this, and yeah, but we found the utility in other areas, right? So a lot of optimization problems can be solved using variational quantum eigensolver. One of the best known optimization algorithms on quantum computers is the QAOA, or quantum approximate optimization algorithm. It turns out it's actually just a specific variant of VQE, right? The methodology is pretty much very, very, very similar to VQE. So yeah, we've used it for optimization problems. Potentially, you could use it for certain types of machine learning. Actually, the way that we train a quantum neural network, for instance, is somewhat vaguely it's somewhat similar to how we do things with the quantum eigensolver, except we're not looking for eigenvalues. We're just trying to optimize some other kind of cost function. But yeah, VQE is a very versatile thing, and that's why you'll find a good generic implementation of it in Qiskit that can be used for multiple different things.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We do have more questions in the chat, but we are pretty much out of time here. So folks, you can join Sean in Discord and ask all those questions right there. And of course, don't forget to check out the IBM prizes and the jobs that are going at IBM. You can see all that on QHack.ai. And there's this form you need to fill out if you want to be eligible for those power-ups. So don't forget to do that if you're participating in the coding challenges today. So thank you, Sean, so much for being here with us today. It was awesome to have you. And we will see you in the Discord. Thank you,
Okay,
Sean.
well, thank you very much, Shannon. Take care.